YouTube and hello Twitch, my name is SlothFang's and today we are back. YouTube and hello Twitch, my name is SlothFang's and today we are back. With an echo. Ew. Double echo. Ew. I thought I fixed that. Anyway, hello everyone. One of my windows where I'm like making sure the stream looks good at the beginning, apparently it wasn't muted. So, hello Twitch and YouTube. My name is SlothFang and welcome to week 9 of SlothFang's Minecraft story. Today, we are going to be making some redstone devices, a T flip-flop, a button, a power line, and last but not least, a secret piston door. Then followed by that, we will be going and making more, well, digging out the Hall of Coolness. That's right, Hall of Coolness. And it's raining because you know it's cool. Alright, so lots going on. So you can tell me in the comments below on YouTube or on Twitch what you did. Ooh, wow. What you did over the last week. Today is August 29th, 2022. Week 9. Now, you're probably doing the math and thinking, but SlothFang, if you started July 11th, why is this week 9? I'm a week ahead of, because last week on the 22nd of August 2022, I did two weeks for YouTube, so yeah, so we're a week. You could consider this really week 8 of like how many parts, but yeah, because if not, there'll be 2 weeks where there's no stream, because when we go to Disney World, again, I mentioned this last time and the time before and the time before and the time before. So yeah, so there's that. We have plenty of redstone. We really don't have iron. We need iron to do what we need to do. So down to the mine we go real quick. Actually, we could. Yeah. We'll go over to the Hall of Cool. Hi, bees. How's it buzzing? Started a little bit late today. I kind of was tired. I had stayed up last night, well, the past few nights, reading some books. R.A. Salvatore's Dritz Stewart is the book series that I've been reading and watching. Wow. Reading. And it's a phenomenal series where I need to get more wood. Yeah, there's no wood there. About a dark elf. It's based in the Forgotten Realms. He's pretty much one of the only authors still writing books since 2016, to my knowledge. 2017, there were no books whatsoever published for the Forgotten Realms for D&D. Besides, your publication books for like your, hey, here's your Dungeon Master's Guidebook or this area, stuff like that. Like they had like, okay, here's how you run this campaign for this homebrewed settings, but in our official world. So I guess homebrew isn't the right word, which was shocking. I just finished, and I will say, if anyone spoils the series for me or anyone else, the giant swift iron fist of the sloth will come down. But let's hope that no spoilers happen for the book. I finished the Homecoming book, and so that was, I was gonna say Transitions, but that's an older trilogy. The trilogy was first and foremost Archmage, Maestro, and Hero. I had just finished Hero. The ending made me cry. Something I had been hoping for close to 40. Yeah, close to 40 books, over 30 books now, for something to happen, and it made me cry. Absolutely brilliant. Excuse me. Red Bull, Blueberry Edition. Love my Red Bull. Yum. And, yeah, so I'm reading now, Timeless. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. And where can I click? Hold on. There we go. Yeah. So I'm reading Timeless. It's the first book of the Way of the Drow series, I believe. Or is that the next one, the Starlight Enclave? I don't know. But I've got pretty much almost every recent book, the past like 2.5 trilogies, signed by him with a few additional. I think one of my favorite books, so the Crystal Shard is definitely a phenomenal series. Is that the 3, 4? Okay, so that's 4. So we'd have to, and that is the top. Okay. But yeah, so to kind of preface this, we'll talk about. Oh, before I get more into the Drizzt books and all that, let me tell you about my weekend. It was great. So last Friday, per stream date time. So last Friday and the Friday before, I had went hair appointment that Friday. She asked to push it back, and I said sure. I didn't think about it. Next time I won't mind, but I'll do it on a non-Friday, non-Monday date just to make sure that everything works out. Let's see. And then the following week, so this most recent Friday, a few days ago, I just was plum tuckered, tired, exhausted. And when it was stream time for Resident Evil, I'm like, I don't really feel like it. And the heartburn. Do you get the good Papa John's money? I had to watch a P. John's ad. Had a great stream. Have a great stream. Papa John's money. Bear Monday. Good to see ya. You know what? I don't. But that's cool that I didn't. I can't believe the ads are on. Huh? Interesting. But yeah. Hey, Papa John's money. May not be the right company I want money from, given their issues, and they're not that great. Papa John's is not a great pizza place. Pizza Hut, however, is, because remember, you can't out pizza the Hut. Anyway, so yeah, I was just tired, and I really didn't feel like that after that last week of Resident Evil Hot Sauce Challenge. I really did not feel like. What level are we on? We're on 45. Also, if you ever want to know XYZ, Y is your directional height. I think 45 is a good height. We could actually just do this, and then so the idea is, so a T flip-flop. Oh, well, we don't have the stuff, but we'll get to it. I should go back to the other mines. We need to get staircases made. We need to. So how many? Let's go here. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But yeah, so it came down to me just, I didn't feel like, the heartburn and all that, and just this, next time I'll rethink those challenges. It's kind of like if you have, that, and I had pizza all last week, which was delicious. I had a bunch of Red Baron frozen pizzas. They were delicious. We had a, Craven pizza this is all from Schnucks. We Instacart our groceries. And so with that, it was one of those of wow, the Craven pizza was good. It was like a Supreme pizza or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. It wasn't cheese, wasn't pepperoni. I think it was, it was Supreme. Very delicious, very, very delicious. And the Red Baron pizzas are great. Cheese is okay. I mean, it's still Red Baron pizza and it's phenomenal, but it wasn't wow. You wouldn't write home about it. But the pepperoni Supreme, delicious, exquisite pizza. I mean, I prefer homemade or the St. Louis's own, Emos, delicious. But then there's Pizza Hut. There's stuffed crust cheese pizza. I had that. My Chips Ahoy actually bought that for me for lunch, Thursday, and that was just the bomb.com. Blast furnace. We should have 2 pieces, I think, left. And so that was more or less my week. Yesterday was Sunday. We actually had the power go out. And not power, the internet. The internet just randomly, it looked like it was going to rain. You can't use the copper for tools? Well, then what's the fucking point of it? No, hold on. Ooh, steak. If you can't use copper for tools, what's the fucking point of that? That is a waste of... it's an ore! You can't use it for tool. Can you... Wait, hold on. Can you make... tools with copper? Yeah. So why is my game broken? Is my game bugged? It literally says in tools. Minecraft copper pickaxe. No, it's all, that's so stupid. That is so dumb. What's the point of having an ore just like iron, but it's for aesthetics, and it's dumb. Yeah, I generally do. I thought this entire time, oh, copper, you can use. Yeah, no, apparently not. So what's the freaking point? That kind of bums me out. Oh, yeah, so I had pizza all last week, and I'm kind of pizzaed out a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong. If this Friday comes up and Chips Ahoy goes, hey, do you want Pizza Hut or emo? We actually had emos yesterday. So, yeah. So I had, like, 3/4. So, let's see. So it was, like, Monday. No, yeah, it was, like, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. So... Excuse me, I apologize for those burps. So yeah, it was like majority of the my week was pizza. Which, hey, I've had worse food problems. That and I was fortunate enough to eat, and so hey, that's always great. I always love eating food, but more importantly, to have a warm meal, let alone a meal at all. I know some people are not don't have that blessing in this world, and that is very unfortunate. I truly wish more people had that what I consider a for granted thing, Come on, eat the last of my wheat. I have one wheat left. Please, someone. Oh. Wow, that's a lot of, okay. All right, so we did that. That was kind of loud. That's if you listen to Cow ASMR Radio. Up next, we have, oh, my eye. But don't worry. Eventually, we will be returning to Resident Evil 2 to finish the playthrough. Hot sauce challenge is just going to be a couple weeks off before I want to do that again, just because. Trying to think here. Yeah. So now we're working on the Hall of Coolness. Did anything else happen? Not that I could think of. The usual, played some video games with my fiance Chips Ahoy, and then my friend Slyant. I had a grand old time. Let's say, shall we? So we go. So if the door's here, it's gonna be 2. We need 3. We give you 4, 5. So door 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll break out. Break out! Bam, 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 break out! It's gonna be 2. So minus the 2, so it's 50. So it's 25 on each side. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5's 10. 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 10, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also worth noting, for some reason, even if I don't touch the peppercini or whatever it is, or whatever the pepper is, I still always get like a rash on my mouth or my hands from eating Papa John's. 10, 15, 20. It is so strange. 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know why. I do not know why. And I'm very careful, and I think it's something with the crust. Like they have like pepper, but I eat peppers all the time, and I never have that issue. So if there is an allergic reaction to Papa John's or some irritation at the very least, I don't know what it is. And it's not that. Their business practices, their treatment of employees, and a bunch of other things are huge. Like Pizza Hut, like there's a bunch of Pizza Huts that closed down from the pandemic, and that does frustrate me. Like if you're a small business, I understand, but you're a corporation, you can take the brunt of the damage. But then you look at franchises and mistreatment of those and whatnot, and most corporation, corporative businesses. So I'm like, okay, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that was something where there's only one in our area close to our house versus the rest aren't. Like I look at my hometown area, and there used to be one, there's none, and all the towns around it, there's none. So it's a it's a Pizza Hut desert, which is shocking until you get to our town. So that's like 4 towns. Essentially, it's like 4 towns from my hometown is where the nearest Pizza Hut is, and that's more or less how our situation is where we live now is. Which, I mean, I'd rather support a mom and pop shop than a corporation any day. Heck yeah, shop local, shop small. Small businesses. 5, 10, 15, 20. So it's 2 off. Support small businesses, local businesses, heck yeah. I mean, I love going on Etsy and finding legitimate small businesses and not some other business who. And I'm like, look, I'm gonna support local businesses, especially small businesses, but there are some things that I can't find, available here at all. Like, there's not a seller, or there is, but sorry, I'm backed up for 6 months to 2 years, and I'm like, that's fair, that's understandable. But yeah. Or there is a small business or local, but there's something wrong with them, unfortunately, where they either don't treat their employees right because they're big enough to have some employees, they don't treat them right. Their prices are I completely understand artisan goods pricing, especially local businesses, and with recent inflation and all that other BS, you're gonna have to pay to take care of yourself. Pay for my paintings. I understand completely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's actually 5, but but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, there's lava nearby. I gotta be careful. But so for my oil paintings, I have a set price because it's based on specifically a flat rate of the supplies. I break down okay, how many supplies can I get out of this? Okay, and I do some math. Get that? Oh, I love that we get iron. Heck yeah, we're needing iron for tools because this pick's about to break, and I don't want that to happen. But then again, if it does, say Levy, and then also because of we need iron for some pistons. So ooh, sweet. I've been wanting to find a cave. So yeah, we take also then the canvas, per inch, and I do 18 by 24. Is that right? No, or is that, no, it's a little bit bigger. I think it's 22. Wait, hold on. Do the math. I think it's actually 18 by 24 is the size. I could be wrong though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5, 10, 15. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I think it's gonna be here. I don't know. I have to count out because you take off 2 and then you do the rest. Actually, let's mine out the rest of the iron. We'll go up, we'll cook that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then I take in my my hours. I can't remember. I'd have to look up a pricing of one of mine that I've sold recently. But the based on the pricing, you know, you take your hey, here's the flat amount of how much it takes, supplies cost. Okay, cool. And then you go to, okay, how much is it for then adding into like the pricing per you know, the object plus your hours worked. And a lot of people, especially when you do it by hand, I mean, it's one thing, yeah, if you do shoddy work, poor work, you know, it's like you need to practice a little bit more to get better, to quote unquote justify it. But at the same time, you put in the hour, because just because you spend 400 hours on something doesn't mean, okay, 400 times 20 is what, 8,000? Am I doing the math right, or am I stupid? Yeah, no, 400 times 20 is 8,000. And that's not like, well, you know, that's not including, you know, being cost effective of like, okay, well, to, you know, that's just based on my hours worked. Well, then you look into, you know, add in, say, $100 for supplies. Really, it should be like 15 to 45, if that, if not lower. And then you add in, you know, if you did a painting surface area. But like, in that case, that sounds like a big commission. Not something that, you know, it's just, you know, but then there are some people who their things cost that much, and that's completely fair. Like woodworking, I can see, and all that, there's like a few hundred to a few thousand, but you have to understand the market and what sells. You don't want to, excuse me, you don't want to, and I promise we're about to talk about Drit Stewart in a second, race yourself down the pricing. Oh, I didn't realize I did have some iron picks. Sweet. Let's actually put those in here, so I don't waste not, whatnot. Or that's not the right saying, but you know what I mean. But you know, like Walmart can easily, and that's why a lot of small businesses crash or you know, shut their doors when Walmart comes in, because Walmart can say, hey, here's the literal lowest price that can be afforded by us, a big corporation, for, you know, a good that Tom, Dick, and Harry and Mary and Sue and Stephanie offered down the street, or in a neighboring town, or a neighboring town. And so you get to the point where you realize that they don't care, or Bezos doesn't care about the local market, the local economy. What they care about is getting every last resource dropped, like Nestle does when Nestle molests California for the water, even though there's a drought, and they're advised, hey, you can't be using this at this time. You need to stop. And then Nestle Corporation goes, no, we'll just take the fine. It's fine. It's fine. I just realized we can't do the door because we don't have any slime. We need a swamp for that. Rip dip tater chip. So anyway, so yeah, so there's a lot of that pricing on that. I'm actually working on a website that features my YouTube/Twitch that has a functionality for that, for my art store. That'll be making, if not the end of this year, the beginning spring of next year, because I'm working on something, and then like that takes time. Well, I'm working on several things, always working on several things, and they take time, but I'm trying to balance it all out. And then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then also we got the game studio. That's one of the big projects there. That'll be a big functioning. So it'll involve, you know, the 4 thing. Well, yeah. So the main page where it's me, Sloth, and then it goes like the game studio, YouTube/Twitch, Twitch being the forefront, but then you can, like, hey, you can check out videos here, and it links them, or you could watch in the player there, and then it goes to the art store. So, which I'm excited for. I've been working on that for a bit. See how that goes. 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, more iron, heck yeah, 15, 16, hold on, let me count this out, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and then that should be 2. I want to make sure I get like the centering of this just right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay, and let me do 26 down, and then we'll be good to go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Ooh. I heard lava. Probably did. We're just going to quickly scope this out and put some torches. Ooh, we got to be careful. So there's lava there. What's over here? Lichen? Okay, so this is that corner there. Put a torch down here. Huh. Jump over here. Ooh, there's lava. So we need lava for buckets or for portal placement or something. We have that. Kind of pretty cool. We'll need to... okay, I'm going to put a note. We'll eventually at some point do cave exploring. All right, so let me count that, the last side, and then we should be good. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Excellent. So we have like kind of the little crevice going through, which is fantastic. That works out for us. So yeah, so we got to dig that out and we got to go across and boom, that's 52 by 52. I think that's going to be really cool. We can still see the other side, very intimate. There's going to be an inner I want to say inner sanctum, but like an inner zone and then an outer zone. Not auto zone or O'Reilly's auto parts, but dang it. But yeah, so we'll get there. With that though, so True Jordan has been a book series that I have had since I think 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade. Not 6th grade, but 7th or 8th grade. Yeah. So I graduated in 2011, so it's 10, 11, 10, 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So the early 2000s, really. It was like 2003, 4. Maybe, no, it was 2007. 6 or 7. So it was 8th grade. 8th grade was when I was introduced. One of my aunts, one of my mom's sisters, her boyfriend at the time, really nice guy. Really, talked to me a lot about, oh, hey, what are you doing? Have you planned on, what you want to do, in the future? I know it's a lot, really kind of provide that insight. That I had already received, but it was cool to get someone that wasn't necessarily in my inner family or friends or, counselors, guidance, we need to, so yeah, that was nice. But he was like cool about it. He was laid back. My friends, we really didn't talk about it. We were worried about just, having fun and hanging out, talking about the latest video games, movies, and eventually girls. But even then we were just like, whatever, let's just, hang out and have fun. And so, just hanging out, but he talked about that, and he talked about like, hey, if you're ever interested, here's this, I've got a couple books on like introduction to, computer engineering, and then like, what's essentially CompTIA, A+ and all that, kind of your tech work for like computers. So, it's a career that once you kind of know what you're doing, it's fairly easy, and especially by having the internet, you can kind of, if you don't know it and you don't have a colleague or a resource like that available, you can use Google or the internet, the internet to like, hey, here's this issue, and there's like these forums and places for that, and I was like, wow. And he also told me about these books because he knew I loved Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. There's a bunch of other series at the time. and he was like, hey, have you checked out this? I'll lend you the book, because he knew I loved reading, and he read a lot on the weekend. He worked in like a greenhouse and whatnot during the week, so he was often tired, just kind of want to kick back, drink a beer, eat food, and just that was pretty much his after work kind of plan, hang out with the family and all that. And I was like, okay, I respect that. But on the weekend, he read a lot, and still hung out with his family and all that, and took care of him and whatnot. But and I'm like, okay, so I checked this out, the Ice Windale Trilogy. I'm like, huh? I want to say, so here's what happens. So there's this dark elf who is in pretty much this tundra, the Ice Windale, as you can hear in the name. Ice Wind is one word, and Dale, and he ends up meeting this king who says he wants to reclaim his the local hall, the local king, place near them. He says it's rumored to be here, but it's been overtaken by orcs and whatnot and all this other stuff, and it's like, oh no, that stinks. And and the drow kind of has to show himself. He's been out and enough to where, so the drow, they're dark elves, and they are typically seen as evil, malicious things that will cut each other's throats just to stay on top. And so there's all this prejudice involved, and he's like one of the, he's seen as one of the few who's seen beyond the reason and understands that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there we go. That maybe killing each other isn't good. He understands like giving each other the chance, and it's one thing if you're attacked and by this giant troll who wants to eat you for dinner. Then yeah, you need to fight the troll. So he meets this dwarf named Brunor, and they eventually get along. Brunor has an adoptive daughter, a human daughter named Caddy Bree. And then he ends up, the local town, fishing town, villages get, pillaged, are getting pillaged at the moment by these barbarians, this elk tribe, I believe. May not be elk tribe, but the elk tribe is later referenced. But anyways, so they go to fight, and Dritz kind of has to fight from the side, and then because he doesn't want them to think, oh no, the drow, there's bad. He's like, I want people to give me a chance to be honest with me, and just as much as I am with them. He's like, I understand why people don't want to, reach out to me and talk to me like they're their friend, but like I've shown that I'm a good person. And so as he does this, Bruno ends up fighting this barbarian and taking him down. He doesn't kill him, but he pretty much he's the one left, and Bruno ends up letting him live mercy. He's like, you know what, you're going to be working with me in our the mines with me, and you're going to understand what you did is wrong, even though he wants to just smash this guy's head in. And this guy's name is Wolfgar the barbarian. Well, that's not his actual name, but he's a barbarian human. So Wolfgar, and that's pretty much your cast of characters. But who could forget the lovable halfling? He whittles Scrimshaw, and he has a knack for pickpocketing, and he loves to just fish. He'll like doodle with some Scrimshaw, and on his toe is a string for fishing. He's like, so that tugs on his toe, that, and it helps him wake up if there's a fish. And so that's more or less your group of people. They kind of begin to really trust each other, love each other, and whatnot. And that's the Ice Windale Trilogy. So the R.A. Salvatore originally wrote the books. Originally, Wolfgar was supposed to be the main character, but a lot of people really liked, and he kind of felt that there was something special about Dritz. As he wrote this trilogy, he realized that maybe there's something going on that I haven't begun to realize. And a lot of people are like, we want to hear more about Dritz. Where does it come from? You mentioned that he's had these past adventures. Like, what's his story? And, of course, there were people interested in all the other characters, but Dritz was definitely this big character. And this came out in 1988. It was the second story written for the Forgotten Realms. Ed Greenwood, who created this setting for his own home D&D campaign, had created this setting, and it would eventually become so huge that it becomes a monolithic. It was like 252, I think, books are out now, not including like books, like reading, not like your. Well, I mean, you can read the D&D, like campaigns, adventure books, and all that, but that's not the point. What the point is the all this is going on. And it's like, huh. And so what's funny is, so R.A. Salvatore is a well proven, phenomenal author. When it comes to the fantasy books, he is, for living right now, he's like fourth, because like there's J.K. Rowling as like the most, regardless of all the controversy. People are people. We should respect and appreciate them, but. There's some things you do and say that's like, oh, I can't believe you'd say that. Let's just work. Anyways, but that's not regarding her. That's just people in general. We should give everyone a chance. If a person says this is who they are, okay. But that's complicated and not the point of this video. But she was like the leading first person, and then like Salvatore was pretty much fourth. There's a few authors, of course, Tolkien being one of them. Terry Pratchett, of course. That was like for like deceased, and then of course you have like, sorry, my ear itches. You have Stephen King, of course, being a different genre, but still. So Salvatore's up in like the top like 10 like best-selling authors of all time. Even though he's not always in the best-selling charts, he's still up there in respect of Okay, how far does this look? So boom. Okay, so boom. We gotta go about a little bit more. But he's up there. That kind of shows you he pretty much every book he writes, he puts out there, it is easily a million is sold. And Hasbro Wizards of the Coast has like I believe it's like $15 million now, which is why 2017 there was no real books. There's a bunch of issues. And we can only guess, but like based on the information we know, their license fee is like a $15 million just to make sure that they profit at the end of the day, / justify the book means. There are a few book series that don't push out $1 million, but they do a few 100,000. And that's fine and dandy to them because they at least gets their D&D and all that, especially with Stranger Things out there. You would have thought that 2017 would have had a bigger push, but here we are. But yeah, so he writes about, he reaches out to someone with Wizards of the Coast and goes, was it Wizards of the Coast at the time? Forgot. Either way, he reached out to someone and says, hey, I just have a couple things that I know about that I kind of wrote about for the Drow, the Dark Elves. What else do we have? And there was pretty much nothing. And I'm like, wait, what? He pretty much literally created, like, there's this just idea of, like, the Dark Elves, live in the Underdark deep down. And kind of like where the Minecraft, that new dark city is underground. That's pretty much what it kind of is in a way. And it's where a hunting ground lies within another hunting ground, and he who thinks he is the hunter is really the prey of something else. And there's all these deadly things down there. But nothing was really said about the Drow, like their city. He like Menzoberranzan. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't have the word in front of me at the time to kind of justify that. So he had this going on, and they're like, we have like 3 small things. And he goes, no, really, what do you guys have? He goes, that's it. You've written more than what we have. And so he creates this matriarchal society where the women are the more revered and respected, and the Spider Queen, the queen of the Chaos Goddess, Lolth, pretty much dines on chaos, reigns with chaos, because without chaos, what's the point of life? Which is kind of a paraphrasing of a quote she says later on in a more recent book, but no spoilers. There gets to a point where you realize, so this society is based on the women. So you have the matron mother who rules the house. There are all these houses, and the council, the Spider Queen Council, or whatever the actual name is. I don't know. It's actually based on. Hold on, let me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25. There we go. So these matron mothers lead the houses, and their daughters, more or less, like their top 3 daughters or so, are like the high priestess, and then in general just priestess. They go to this priest school to worship and revere Loth. And with this, and Spider Queen's name is spelled like that, Loth. It's kind of like Lilith, but it's not Lilith. And that always throws me off because I'm like, oh, you had a great name. 5, 10, 15, 20. There we go. But yeah, so, and the men are barely above, like, their kobolds and goblin slaves and all this. Like, they're barely above that. The men have to, like, bow and respect and all that, which is quite a great change because most of the stuff, it's men leading, the books and all that. And the men do have a good point. Like, you have, like, the men could be, in the fighters group, and so they fight for their house, as fighters, whether it's sword or staff or something like that, melee. And then they have the magic too, of course, but there's a magic school and there's an archmage for that, and all this cool kind of stuff that exists within this world, within the cavern. And I'm just like, huh. So it takes so little, there's, like, I think a name reference to the Drow City and all that, and so he kind of had to build upon that. I don't know, there was like a one or two, but yeah, he was just kind of shocked, like, no, seriously, what do you guys have? No, that's it, what you have is the most that we have. It's like, huh. But it just goes to show you, sometimes, the greatest things just come within our mind, and, or, we ask someone, hey, you have that? And they're like, no, we actually don't. Do you? Which I think is really, really cool. I need to bring a smelter down here so we're not constantly running to the house, but, So yeah, so there's that, and so he writes a trilogy. And I have most of the books. We're on now this last trilogy. So we have book 2, Glacier's Edge came out. It's book 2, so it's the 38th book. Once that trilogy ends, that's the 39th book, and there's the book of Dao, like DAO. It has all of. So what happens? What I thought was really cool is, there's a few times in the book you have, like, this journal entry, like this mental insight to Dritz Stewart, and who kind of tells you his thoughts on either just recent events or just the ramifications of different interactions. And it's kind of cool to see this insight. You really get him to, and he sometimes he goes back and thinks about other things that relate to what's going on now. But just to see him, think about that. It's kind of nice to see, a character not inside a moment necessarily, but revolving around the recent moments, like, kind of think about it. And then it gets into the book. And the book has different point of views throughout each book. So it's not just Dritz's, point of view. There's other interactions, whether it's a matron mother, one of the other characters, or like a character who gets eventually eaten by like a demon or something, but it still shows the point. Like, it gives you insight to, like, hey, this is what's going on in this point of the world with this side. And it's interesting because you get to a point where obviously you're rooting for Dritz. You want him to save the day. You want him to live. But there are certain moments where you get these other characters who, it gives you the understanding that not necessarily, just because they're evil, so you have, like, the demons. There's some interesting. The demons are truly evil, but you get some characters that kind of bump shoulders with them, and it's only because, like, hey, this is working out for this plan that we have, and so yeah, we're gonna just keep doing this because it works. But obviously, at the end of the day, they're like, who do I side with? I'm not siding with them. Now, if the demons come out and they're going to war, then yeah, obviously I need to side with one because they're one of the most powerful things ever. The Baelors and whatnot. And so it's kind of an interesting thing to think about that. And it really shows you that just because people see the Drow, the Drow are, for the most part, murderous and whatnot and deadly. But, Dritz, for example, shows him and his father, Zachnathian, and like one of his sisters, and there's a few other people he comes across, that if given the chance to be truly good-hearted and to not have to murder another, to backstab and so on, they wouldn't. But they're in a society where you have to be cunning, you have to guard, shield your thoughts, and be ready to strike the blow, because if you don't, someone's already got a knife, you already got a target on your back, you're already, line for that. And that's what that prequel trilogy of him growing up is, him realizing that and eventually understanding that, okay, so not only does he always gives someone the benefit of the doubt, thinking that, oh, they wouldn't do anything bad, and they mean well, but in all actuality, that person is wanting to kill him. He proves to be one of the finest fighters of all time, if not during that period. And people are kind of mad because, like, oh, I was destined to be, because I'm the top house. And I should mention the houses. So what happens is, it's each house is a family name. So of course you have House Duerden, a House Boehner. I say Boehner, but it's spelled that Bane. Yeah, I don't know, Bainery. I don't know. But the point is 1057. No. So there's the 8 ruling houses. So you got the 8 here, not including that, and you have the top house and the 8th house, and there's many more houses. They're just not notable. But so the people of this house, of course, are the nobles. You also have like servants and whatnot, and so on, so forth, and blah 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 blah. Which I think is kind of a cool concept of seeing their royalty of their house, that kind of stuff. And so what happens is you could easily, so if the 8th house goes and attacks the 7th house and they wipe out, all the witnesses, there's no survivors, cool. Or there's survivors, but they take them in and like, hey, you're with us now. You don't have your family anymore. Boom, get over it. Then cool, they're allowed it. But if there's a survivor or someone witnesses it, they can point the finger and say, that house attacked the house. How dare they? And you're like, but isn't that society based on? Yeah. So the house that was alleged to have done something, provided there's witnesses, they get pretty much smited by the council and by the goddess and her servants. And yeah, and so houses are always trying to climb up this ladder, because chaos is a ladder, And so yeah, it's kind of an interesting insight to that whole society. I'm leaving out a lot of stuff, both for spoiler and non-spoiler reasons, but yeah. But Dritz gets to the point where he realizes that this isn't for him. There's within his heart and soul that there's this goodness, and then he realizes that maybe we shouldn't kill each other. Maybe we should, you don't have to love each other, but understand that killing each other doesn't do any good. So let's kind of and then the whole society kind of considers him heretic, so he has to exile. And that's, I think, the third book is, or second or third book is Exile. It's, I think, Homeland, Exile, and Sojourn. But either way, really recommend reading that. If you're like, that sounds cool, but I kind of want a little bit more action and not so much political, house-to-house warfare. In that case, I would recommend just reading The Crystal Shard, which is the book 1 of the Ice Windale Trilogy. Phenomenal. But I feel like with this 39 books, and technically the 40th being the Book of Tao, I really feel like, well, technically that's the 39th, because but it's just all of his journal excerpts collected. I really feel like Salvatore's kind of coming to an end for Driss. There's been a couple times where he's like, I felt like I could have easily ended the saga there and and been fine, but there's so many stories I want to tell. And I feel like he's at this point, he's well off financially. Like, he could easily stop writing and he's good. But that he definitely is that passionate person. He talked about how, hold on. Let me count this and we'll talk about Salvatore from what I know about him. 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5, 15. Wait, 5, 5, 15. Wow, 5, 10, 15, 18, 19, 20. So R.A. Salvatore, or those who know him, Bob. So Robert Anthony, I'm always like, I consider him just the initials, but I'm like, okay. He lives in Massachusetts, like a few hours west of like Boston, I believe is what like the back of the book excerpt, that back part of the page. it wasn't until out of high school, like in his college, years, did he truly start to, what was it? He had, it was like the Great Blizzard of like the 76 or something like that. Was, he looked outside and he's like, my car's still in, there's just a black spot in the driveway, like the oil or the condensation, what have you. And then he realized, as he went downstairs, no, that was the roof of his convertible car or whatever it was. That's the top of his car. That's not, what's missing his car. His car's there, and it snowed so bad. And so, yeah, so he was pretty much stuck in for like about a week or so. They were like, literally, they were like ticketing people and taking them back home. Like, do not go outside, stay home. And so, yeah. And so what he had was his sister had gifted him The Hobbit. And so as he read that book and was listening to, is it the Tusk album? It was Fleetwood Mac. He listened to that by candlelight. And he realized that in like 4th or 5th grade, he'd read a series of, this is off. I think I screwed up. He'd realized how much he enjoyed the book series, and more or less reading, but he had all this, like, you get to a point in like school where every now and then you get a book that you really connect with, you enjoy it. Like for me, To Kill a Mockingbird resonates with me so much, and I've had a lot of people mention this to me, and I didn't really think about it, but I knew there was something about To Kill a Mockingbird that resonated with me, and I realized that fairness, justice, truth, peace are the things that like embody many of my moral characteristics. And that, Atticus Finch is someone who stands by and shows like this is what we should strive to be. This is what we should strive to do, of seeking out the justice and truth and keeping an open ear. We shouldn't strike one another. We shouldn't attack or be mad. I mean, you can be mad, but you shouldn't let that lead you. That should be a minor thing to who you are. And so, but there's a lot of literature that I was just like, don't get me wrong, I love reading. Anything I could get my hands on to read, I read it. There were some genres that I loved more than the other, but it came down to understanding why, or what, and it got to a point where some things were kind of boring. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. No, this is right. So we're going to push it down one. I don't know what went wrong, but I miscounted, I guess. But Salvatore mentioned how, he always loved as a kid the Peanuts, kind of, a few other classics. And once he got into school, it was kind of And so, but it wasn't until then he's like, why? And, so he read The Lord of the Rings and he read all these other series. He goes, why wasn't this something that was brought up in school at some random function? Why wasn't this hey, we're reading this today? Because you really look into the aspect of like, and sure, we need to understand the classics and whatnot, but, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's why. Okay. I'm silly. And so, and I kind of agree with him. Like, there are plenty of book series that I think are great. Like, The Great Gatsby is a great point in time for literature. But Great Expectations, kind of like Christmas Carol is a good point. But then you get to certain things and you're just, I don't know. Like, we can all disagree and agree. Like, some people like vanilla ice cream, some people like chocolate, some people like moose tracks. The ice cream, not actual moose droppings, I should say. And so that's all well and dear, fair point. But To Kill a Mockingbird, another great classic and a good resonating point with U.S. history. But you get to a point where some books are reading, you're like, what? I'm trying to think. There's, and I know there's only so much time a teacher has, or a professor has to teach their class, and there's only so much time you can do reading certain books and whatnot. But like, I feel like it's underrated. Not to like, hey, here are a list of books you really should give yourself a chance. I've had a few teachers who did that. They're like, here's a few books on your own time. Here's the library. Here's how to enroll. I had one teacher who took the time to make sure we were all enrolled at the library. This is early on, and that was both a field trip and it was exciting, but it was also like for a teacher to not just, all right, I'm teaching my class, because usually a teacher is very passionate at that subject, and that's why they teach it. or there's an opening and they, were like, hey, I teach that, I guess. But from the people that I've met as teachers are typically enthralled in, if not surrounded by, that subject of history, of teaching, I should say, whether it be history, English, literature, writing, and so on. Art, they generally that embodies who they are. But this teacher, you get to a point where a teacher truly wants to see their students excel well beyond their classroom. And so I've had quite a few teachers who wanted to teach all these different things, and they would go out of their way and explain hey, here's something that's not often taught. I had one teacher who says, hey, we're going to learn about indigenous tribes, Native Americans. Beyond what we were, and she wasn't the history teacher, the social studies teacher, or whatever. She was our English teacher. But she goes, I want you to understand just how many different points of views are in there. She goes, in this classroom, we have, it's like over 20 students. So it was like 23 because she included herself. While we all come from a similar area, who our parents are and all this different stuff and religions and stuff makes it to where our point of views aren't necessarily the same thing. Sure, we're more similar than if you had a class of 20 some odd students on the teacher from France, but there's so many similarities just as much as there's differences. She goes, appreciate who you are and what you have, but understand that sometimes we disagree simply because our point of views are different. We may realize then that, actually we do agree, but it's just these differences that cause a schism, a rift in between discussion. And so she went through all these, these different, all the different tribes for Native Americans still existing and unfortunately eradicated, tragically. And kind of went down to, hey, they're still, they still have kids, they still have families, they still have adults, they still have, all these different aspects, single parents or orphans, homeless, and so on. At the end of the day, we all eat, sleep, drink, and want to be merry. Happy, merry, MERRY, not MARRY, but all these different aspects, and then spirituality and all this stuff. And I'm kind of like, as a kid, that kind of struck with me. And she goes, I want you to be as amazing as possible as you can in whatever field you want to be in life as an adult. And this was my fifth grade teacher. Who, sorry, allergies, sinuses are clogged up still from this morning. I wake up and it's just miserable. But my fifth grade teacher asked us, she goes, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to help people? Do you want to go in the medical field? Do you want to? And she goes, you don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to be a doctor or a fireman to help people. There's so many careers and fields that help people. And it kind of struck a chord with me of what I want to do. And I'm like, at the time, and I still do to this day, I love food. I love cooking it. I love eating it. And at the time, I wanted to be a personal home chef that had my own restaurant and all that. But I was like, as a kid, I was like, I want to own 5 limousines. I have the letter somewhere in this book. But we wrote down what we wanted to be in 10 or 20 years. We graduate high school and then 10 years from then, what we're going to do and all that sort of stuff. And she was like, and in fifth grade, so for us, fifth grade was the last part of school before we went to middle school. Middle school was 6th, 7th, and 8th before we went to high school, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then graduated high school. And so fifth grade, normally you just have one class and you have the same teacher teach everything. Well, they rotated us between the 4 corners of this part of the building. And she taught English, then went to our science teacher, then we went to our social studies, and then we went to... No, that was our English teacher. She was like our homeroom, and she taught stuff, but I was so like, huh. Or math. That's what she did, math, okay. No, he was science, and she was science, and he was history, and she was... I don't know. But the point was, yeah, we had these 4 different teachers, and it was to prep us for, and I think we were the first and last 5th grade to do it because there were a lot of complaints. I don't know, but it was like to get you prepared for sixth grade. I'm like, or shouldn't sixth grade be the thing? But I don't know. But sixth grade, we had it to where we had to go up to 2 different floors. We had like 4 different teachers throughout the day. And we'd have like 2 hours with like hour and a half something with each teacher, and then we'd go to the next class and so on. And I'm just like, shouldn't we just have? But okay, and then that prepped us for high school, and then high school prepped us for college, and college prepped us for the disappointment of real life. No, but that 5th grade teacher, she really was like, she said, I can see greatness in each and every one of you. You're going to go and do so many amazing things, and I want you to know that there will always be someone proud of what you do beyond just yourself. I will always be appreciative and proud of every single thing you do. I was like, wow. And she meant that. And she took the time to really open up our minds and make us experience things, but also she realized that we're kids and we need to have fun, especially with the whole, we were the one year that was, so they had to like scramble and plan out all this stuff, like, okay, we're only doing one class, okay, which helped them, for what they strive to do and all that, but still. And so as we're going through all this, it was an interesting experience for us, because it was the first time, like, oh my gosh, we have to walk between classes and get different books and all that. And so we went about our day, and and it wasn't until graduation I reached out to Buddy reached out to me. Hey, did you get something in the mail from a teacher? I'm like, what are you talking about? But I was like, yeah, my mom and dad were like, yeah, you got something in the mail, and it was from that teacher. And she had personally made, and it came around our graduation. We graduated in May, here in the Midwest U.S., and it was kind of a hey, I wish you the best. She had this book she had custom made and all that, scrapbooked and all that, and she took all these pictures of, here's where you were back in 5th grade. Here's what you said you wanted to be in, 6 to 10 years, 20 years, what have you. I wish you the best and all this different stuff. And she it wasn't that she wrote it down. She actively remembered each and every one of us. But I'm like, how many years had that been that she did that? She later had moved to like Florida. She moved from Illinois to Florida or something like that. And so she'd moved out of state, but she still kept in like touch with us and talked to us like that. I was like, wow. And it was just so, like, I remember each and every one of my teachers. I've never had a bad teacher, like, genuinely, like, out of my own personal experience. My 1st grade teacher made my life hell, just because I don't know why, but she singled me out. I was the troublemaker, even though there were people who literally acted out. I was just like, I always wanted to smile and be happy, and was saying please and thank you, and wanted to help out as much as I can if I could, and just took it out of me. And that kind of was like, but it never ruined my spirit, never broke me. And oh wow, that's a cool block. Block is that? Raw copper. Wow. But every other teacher has been kind of insightful and eye-opening to different aspects of my life, and I appreciate that, because that formed me into who I am today, along with my parents and family and friends and all that. But it's just kind of like, I hope everyone has that kind of aspect, that kind of, and she really, made sure we kind of took the time to enjoy things and didn't just, all right, we have to get this done, we have to get this done, we have to get this done. Because I had a few teachers who were great, but they're like, we don't have enough time to go around today. Today we're getting this, we got to get this over with, and we got to do another thing too. We're way behind. And I'm like, well, okay, fine. There's a zombie nearby. I have no clue where he is. And so that was really amazing. And it kind of like, we always had like insightful literature that wasn't boring, like Great Expectations, and it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the season of malcontent, it was the season of, the literature had meaning and purpose of something. There was only one book I read, and it was something about like the spoiled like brat who da 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 da, and I'm like, oh, this book sucks. But I tried to find meaning to it. Like, okay, why did the author write this? What was the purpose? Well, how do I interpret it? How do others interpret it? Why do you think that this means that when I think this means that? How we, not to think like, oh, well, I'm right and you're wrong, or you're right and I'm wrong. We're not trying to prove, but like, interpret why someone views something as what it is. Like an actual meaning to what the green light is from Daisy's dock, in the Great Gatsby. There's a meaning to what that means, and there's something like that, and then people can, well, I interpret it as this, and that's you technically are probably correct, but at the same time, like, Fitzgerald actually wrote, hey, here's what this means. This is what that purpose of that, based on the book and as well as what he had written notes on. Versus, and so Salvatore, that was his big thing. It wasn't until that moment when he kind of sat down, he had his classics and he started reading all these other books, and you realize that, wow. And he ended up, from what I'm remembering, I forget where he worked at, but he ended up working as a bouncer at night, and he'd come home and write, and his girlfriend at the time, who later became his wife, was like, you should write this, you've got this story. And so he wrote this, and Echoes of the Fourth Magic. I've got that book somewhere. He would later write a bunch of series. I think Demon Wars, the Cleric Quintet, the Highwayman Saga, which are all these great books. And he's kind of tried to intertwine them with Dritz in some way when he can. There's a few that can and a few that can't, series-wise. And I'm just blown away. And, like, when I look at myself and think, what do I want to do in life? I want to have at least enlightened the day, if not the life, of at least one person. And I could stop right now what I'm doing in life in general, and just life in general, and just be like, yeah, I think I did that easily with my family. I've said something funny or that. My mom one time was, I don't know. It was like she was mad at me. I wasn't listening or something, and so her response was, you need to take your ass to your room right now. And my response immediately was, where do you want the rest of me to go? Me being a smart ass. And she laughed. My sister laughed, and she's like, no, you need to go to your room, but still, funny, but no, go to your room. I'm like, fair. Some people are like, oh, you talk to your parents back to your parents like that? I'm like, no, I was me trying to be joking to lighten the mood of everything. There's also a skeleton nearby. Oh, there's a cave nearby. I don't like that. 8, 16, 24. Oh, there's a skeleton up top. I'm about to get shot, aren't I? Nobody move. It's fine. So I have those moments. Or one time, my little brother. So when I graduated high school, he was a year old. He was about to be a year old because he was born in July. And let me see if I do the math right. So I was 17 when my brother was, a year old. Here I am. I turned 29 this year. He turned 12. It's like, wow. So there's that age gap. Like, I was born in 93. My sister was born in 98. And my little brother was born in 2010. So there's kind of an age gap there. I always laugh, and I'm like, well, I always did say it. My mom even was like, well, you always did say it. You wanted a little brother. I'm like, yeah. I asked for a little brother, and I got my sister instead, which is more than fair. Like, she's a great sibling, and I wish her the best, and I hope she wishes whatever she wishes for in life, she gets, because she deserves it. She's a great sibling. And my brother too. My brother, oh man. He's a memester. Everyone's like, oh, he might as well have been, he truly is your younger brother. I mean, he acts goofy and silly, but knows when to be serious, and he wants to talk about all these cool things. And I'm like, he's because he's my brother. My sister's just like that. But there was one time we were in my hometown, the McDonald's, and we were between. So you have the first window where you go and you pay, and then you go like a car length or 2 or 3, and then you're at the window where you can get your food, your drinks, and then you go. I was in the passenger seat. My mom was in the front, and also she was driving, and my sister and brother were in the back. My mom and sister were arguing about something. Like, it was one of those, like, as soon as they're done talking, it was over with, and they'd be over it. And they're bickering back and forth, arguing something silly, and my brother goes, he was maybe a few years old. Like, he spoke a lot, but he was also quiet. Like, so it was just like, he's like, if I don't have anything to talk about, I'm not gonna talk. What do you, hey, it's the letter F. Letter of the day is F. Comment below, letter today F, or just put F. And so, he was probably, yeah, he was a few years old, at the least. But it was their bickering, arguing, and he goes, "Everybody shut the fuck up!" And then my mom's like, "What?" And my sister's like, "Oh," and then we all just start laughing. He goes, "You guys are arguing and yelling, and that wasn't nice. You guys should love each other." And I'm like, being so insightful. Damn, Jasper. Jasper's the name, of course, of my little brother, and Megan's the name of my little sister. I guess, and one thing my mom mentioned was she'd always tell Megan, like, "Hey, Megan, don't let Jeffrey and Jasper know, even though we're within earshot, like sitting in the same room, but you're my favorite daughter. And Jasper, you're my favorite youngest son. And Jeffrey, you're my favorite oldest son." And you're like, "But Megan's your only daughter, Jasper's your only youngest son, and I'm your only oldest son. What do you mean?" And we're like, "Oh, it's one of those silly jokes. Like, oh, we'll plan this for the second Tuesday of next week." And you're like, "But there's only one Tuesday next week. What are you talking about? There's only each week day only goes through a week once. What are you talking about?" Like, "Oh, it's a joke." And that's how we are as a family, you know. Does my brother swear? No. And you know, it's one of those random moments. You know, that's why you have to be careful what you say around a kid, because they pick it up because they're sponges with what they say. And oh, he just said that word. Way to go, Greg, Steven, Timmy. You know, you just said a word that now little Robert's gonna say for, you know, the rest of his life. But no, all those great memories, and there's all these great memories, and I hope that as you know, chips away, and I have all these moments and jokes and memories. I'll say something and she'll start laughing and go, "Oh yeah, I remember when," or she'll just say something or look at me with a certain face, and I just can't help but giggle and laugh. You know, all these great moments, and I hope I can create those moments with other people. You know, on this content as always. You know, on this channel with all this content. Today is the 29th. A week ago was our 11 years of the channel being created. My first episode, though, was the 30th. Will be 11 years. So tomorrow, from stream date, is Glitches of War was the first video. And so I have a video coming up. I hope if you watch this far, you go check it out. It's 11 years of SlothFang, or reacting to 11 years of content. And I take a clip for each year, more or less, and kind of, you know, just like talk about it and, you know, say, "Hey, check this out." And I'm almost done. I know it's the day before. Really getting close. And yeah, it's just something that was just like, wow. You know, I look through all these clips and I just can't help but laugh and giggle, and like to the point where I'm like wheezing from laughter, and just I hope everyone gets that chance to, you know, have that, whether it's with friends or by yourself, playing a game, reading a book, anything like that. I hope you get that inspiration, that love, and that appreciation for it, you know? It truly is a wonderful world out there, and I hope everyone has that opportunity to not only see the greatness in themselves, but to, you know, achieve greatness and to do all those amazing things. Right now, I'm in what I consider my renaissance point in my life. July 31st, 2021 was the start of renaissance. I have all these different creative projects, and I am truly a creative person. As much as I'm a caring, loving, supportive, open-minded person, for the most part, I always love doing creative stuff, while it's writing or drawing or trying to sing, and I feel like I'm getting better this past like 6 months, singing wise, over my whole life, which I guess any improvement's better than nothing. But it just tin iron. Well, it's kind of interesting, you know, to be fortunate enough to, I left the bank, I was gonna go work somewhere else, and then I had all this like content and stuff, and then I had this idea came to me finally. Kind of, I had the pieces of a puzzle, and I had an idea of what it was, but I wasn't for sure. But as I put them together, I realized, hey, this could be blank. And I'm fortunate enough, my fiance, you know, she works hard. She works hard for her money. She works hard for her honey. Yeah. She works really hard and dedicated to what she does. She works in a doctor's office. And she loves what she does. She loves helping people too, and very caring, supportive. And she goes, "Hey, if you want," I got to a point where I told her, I was like, "Look, here's what I have." and I had these creative, avenues. And it's like, originally I was going to take 6 months off from the bank. I'd left the bank. 6 months later, I was going to be, working IT. And then after getting some certifications. But as I'm studying, I was also studying some other stuff. I figured in the end I'd do these other creative stuff. While I'm doing that, more so than what I was already doing. I did kind of like, for example, I was writing this book since 5th grade, but it never came out right. I'd write it and have to rewrite it, and I never really fully wrote the book. But I started finding myself more and more time spending, writing this book. And she, we sat down one day and she goes, "Hey, I would rather you take the time to, but the bank kind of burned me out in general working. Like, I don't get me wrong, I'll work, I'm working. I've got some avenue coming. A lot of people think, oh, you just work from home. You don't, you just sit on your computer and you just play games. Actually, no, I only play games for like Monday, Friday, and a day here or so for just like 2 hours. Like, I have a set time for that. But she realized that take the time you need to, get over the being burnout, but also go ahead and, go into this creativeness and whatnot. And I really kind of thank her for that, because that was just like, I kind of found my calling, like writing in this game I'm working on. I can see that if I stick to this would be the career for the rest of my life. Like, I have so many decades that I could work with all this stuff, and even if one game, one book doesn't work out, I've got that done. I can write another story of it, and so on. And work hard for it. Does that mean I'm guaranteed? No. I tell her, hey, if there ever gets to the point where we can't financially, keep doing this, let me know. I'll get a job. I'll find a job and, a good career somewhere and keep doing what I'm doing as a side then. I'd hate to not be able to do this constantly, but at the same time, I understand, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. Even though money's made out of paper! What? But yeah. See, the cows moving, get it? Oh, we have to punch a tree. Hold on. Let's go find a tree to punch with some cobblestone. No. No, too big. This tree works. And so, yeah. So I'm working on all this stuff. I've actually, like, YouTube channel. By doing this, I have a set time that I write, a set time that I work on my game stuff, where I'm learning and stuff. And then there's times where I'm like, all right, like, for example, here, Mondays and Fridays, I set time from 11 to, anywhere from 11 to, like, 6 p.m., really, if I wanted to. But I try and keep it before 4, so I get some housework done before Chip Sawyer gets home. And I've realized I've got so much more work done. And it's like setting the time done. Like, even if I work 9 to 5, and so that's really me getting up at, like, 6 or 7, me getting home around anywhere from 5 to 6, spending a few hours with my fiance and family and whatnot and friends. I could still get a couple hours each day if I really wanted to, or a couple hours on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and boom. So that's 4 hours of writing or game developing or something, which would be enough. But then again, you still want, hey, Nico, how's it going? Glad to see you. Hope you had a great weekend. It gets to a point where I realize just how much I appreciate having this time to work on my projects and whatnot, and really put my blood, sweat, and tears into it. And I see that, like, when I think about these projects and these books, like, sure, I'm interested in it because I'm the one that's created it and working on it and whatnot. But, like, at the end of the day, I can see, like, all the game ideas I have are, like, really interesting, and I'd play that. And the mindset of, like, I'm just a random person who just, oh, cool. If someone saw it, the game or the book, or, be like, oh, yeah, I want to play that or read that. And so, like, I know I've got something, I've got a good idea and whatnot. So, I truly cherish and appreciate that I have the ability to take the time to make that and work that into my career, instead of it just being a passion project on the side that I get to before I die, hopefully. Bat burned up, rip. So, yeah. And I have different game ideas, different genres, and they're all kind of like, that'd be kind of cool. And so but I'm working right now on Paranormal Coffee. I'm working on my book, Shadow Knights, book 1. And we'll just see where it goes from there. I've got art paintings that I do on the side, when I'm like, hey, I haven't done that in like a couple months, but I have enough paintings that I'm like, okay, I have to get rid of these somehow. That or just store them on the stairwell. There's like this little edge lip thing for the basement staircase, so I've got them all there after they've cured. And what's that called? You put like there's a sealer. You seal them pretty much. Once enough times gone by, I seal them and then I put them in the basement. That way, if it's dusty, I can clean them off, and they're still good. So I've got 5 books of Drits before I'm caught up. Next one comes out next year, and I think that might be it. And then I have his other book series to read, like the Highwaymen. I've been wanting to read for a bit. I actually picked up the Highwaymen book. I have to see which one it is. And I had finished it, and I didn't realize that was R.A. Salvatore. Like it didn't click. Like, huh. Then one day I was looking at my books. I'm like, wait a minute, what book is this? Shouldn't this be over? You know, it wasn't in the Dritz sequence of books. And as I'm counting, I'm like, wait a minute. And so yeah, I kind of put two together, and I kind of looked it up. I'm like, huh, I didn't know. There was one time I had pretty much rented out 2 of his books at a time for the public library because I wanted to make sure I had that other book, because then I could just take it and say, hey, I'd like to renew this book and turn this book in so it's not, late. Okay. So I'd have like book 5 and 6, or book 9 and 10, or book 10, and then when I got 10, I'd then like rent 11 and 12 once I was done with 10, because I turned in 9, and because every now and then I'd try to read a manga at the library and they just didn't have the next book. Like, oh, sorry, it's checked out. I'm like, oh, that's fair, but it would never come back in. And so that's why I never wanted to hold on to a book infinitely forever. I'd read it. It would take me a couple days to, like, maybe 2 weeks at most, the maximum rent time. And I'd read those books. Now I've read those books over like 2 weeks. I've read, like, each book took me a couple days if I actively was reading each day, which sometimes I have the time to read all, like, once or twice. Like, I have like a non-work day each week. So I'm either reading a book, watching movies all day, or playing video games or something, just to kind of, just relax, take the time off, enjoy my time. And that's when these books, I'm like, all right, I'm finally gonna read these books. The Glacier's Edge came in, and so I wanted to read through the books. I had been rereading certain select books before, and appreciating those adventures, and that's when I got to where I am now, reading Timeless, book 1 of the... What is this series called? I don't know what this book series is called. It's just Timeless. What's weird is it went from the book texture, and then the, like, everything changed because it went to the Harper Voyager. Bought the license, and that's why there was a year off. Someone else had, like, picked up, like, hey, we want to continue these books, and so, like, the page formatting's different and all that, which is fine, but it is kind of different from what I was used to. And that had happened once or twice. It was weird, but it's kind of interesting to see a change publishers, which is the Coast pretty much dropped all they're still active, but they're not doing the books anymore. And here in a second, I'm actually going to have Nature Valley, soft baked muffin bars of blueberry. It says made with real fruit and whole grain. 8 grams of whole grain. There's an asterisk there, so watch out. So I'm going to have that real quick, because I haven't had breakfast or lunch yet. I'll have lunch after this. I'll figure out something. But delicious. Had to text back my boo. My boo, my babe is Chips Ahoy. At the time of this recording. No, I'm kidding. So it's like the muffin top of the top of a muffin is in fact delicious. And that's what that is. It's like kind of a granola cookie style. I do want to say next week we do have I have quite a few resource packs made available from Curse Forge. That's like one of the safest places to get it, other than like legitimate websites. But still, I always scan stuff and get vouchers for stuff, like someone credible saying, yeah, this is. But I scan it. So next episode we'll kind of go through a few resource packs. We'll try one out for a little bit and go on. I have some nostalgia for a couple of them, and some of them are just I've tried out and like enjoyed them. But yeah. If you do though want to get into the Drizzt Do'Urden books, and you're like, I don't know how to get into the Legacy of Drizzt, that's like near practically it's 40 books. How do I get into something that monolithic? You can easily pick out a trilogy and go from there. I recommend the Crystal Shard as one. It's he always does well when he's in a group. If he's by himself, there's kind of some brooding and whatnot, but otherwise, he gets a little too insightful, monk-esque. Not monk-esque, but like monk-like monk. Where they do really, internal, insight as well as external. But Crystal Shard is a great one. It's a classic. And I mean that, and not the way where Chips Ahoy rolls her eyes when I say something's a classic, even though I only talk about classics because they're classics. That's why I talk about them. But anyway, yeah, so Crystal Shard, Transitions is great. I recommend the Pirate King and Ghost King and then the Orc King, even though it goes Orc King, Pirate King, Ghost King. I cried for the Pirate. I mean, all three books of Transitions, but the Ghost King and Pirate King. Pirate King is my favorite, one of my favorites. It's up there with the Crystal Shard. Because it's serious. It really shows, like, hey, and at any point in this book, characters can die, and they do. Spoilers. I won't tell you who, but yeah, it's like intense. You're like, what? The original, the prequel, the Homelands is a great one. And so yeah. I always highly recommend that. And so, yeah. But with that, I mean, really, you could pick up almost any trilogy and kind of read that and then bounce to a different trilogy. There are some references to events in the past. Like if you read if you read like the Homecoming, Archmage, Maestro, and Hero, obviously there's character arc development for like the assassin Artemis Hunturi. Like obviously that's his arc's more or less done by that point, but I mean there's still some more to it, but excuse me, things have resolved to the point where you're like, oh, I should have read, the Crystal Shard trilogy. That's the beginning of his involvement with the books. And then forward, excuse me, I didn't mean to burp, kind of guttural, like, uproar from my, stomach. Yeah, so it's like, you could easily, like, bounce between trilogy, like, pick a book from a trilogy and like, wow, that was good, and then read that trilogy, and like, okay, I can read the next one, or, but either way, if not, you do Ice Windale Trilogy, the Homeland Trilogy, that's his birth and all that, Transitions, really any of them, honestly, but those are my, like, top three. Really good. Yeah, this area's gonna be big. The idea is, and I gotta raise the roof. Woot woot. There's gonna be the inner circle area, and then there's gonna be like an outer ring, two outer rings at the least. The middle one's gonna be kind of like a maintenance area, and then the third one's gonna be kind of as we walk around the areas. Today isn't a Monday, it's a mine day. Haha, Minecraft joke! It's about to break. Cause I'm about to break everything you say to me. What's that song? I need to go get the pick, but yeah, it's so much faster running up this. So far we're coming along nicely. I think we're gonna get about, by the time everything's done, we'll get like halfway done, and then we'll have just those two sides left. Well, those two corners left. Trying to think what I'm for lunch. I'll probably have a sandwich. I was gonna say pizza, but I'm like, no. One, we don't have any pizza, and two, I'll have to make a sandwich, which is good. I love sandwiches. Ooh, we had, I think it was Friday or Thursday. I don't remember. Chips Ahoy came home. She had picked up a order from. No, it was Thursday. She made this really good stew. It was like a pot roast-esque stew. It was so delicious. Had these little baby potatoes, little small potatoes, about that big. And everything was delicious. The carrots, the peas, everything was just succulent, warm, delicious. It was the first time using her mom's Instant Pot. She wasn't for sure, and she was like, "Hey, can you help me get the lid on?" And I tried for a good 5 minutes. I'm like, it's not getting on there. Like the lid was on top, but it wasn't like turning to like lock. I'm like, I guess I'm not smart. But she ended up getting it done, and yeah, the food turned out amazing. It's like it was so delicious. Like I could eat this every day. I would not get tired of it. Like sandwiches are good. You can make them a million different ways, but to me, a sandwich is like after a while, I'm like, I'm sandwiched out. But 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 would eat that stew again. Like pizza, on the other hand, I could have stuffed crust pizza only every so often. I can't have it all the time, but it's still really good. It's great, actually. Brings back memories of the Pizza Hut as a kid, getting the personal pan pizza, because I read enough books to get the free book for like the Bookworms Club or whatever it was called. And then we'd get like, you know, my dad would order a large pizza for him and mom, and they'd split that, and then or they got a medium. I don't know what they got. They got pizza. We were at a pizza place and they got pizza, and so did I. And my sister also got a personal pan pizza. And I'd switch between like a personal pan cheese pizza or personal pan like sausage or pepperoni. Oh, delicious. And then every now and then for a real treat, and we didn't get Pizza Hut often. Like fast food was kind of we treated it as like not a luxury but like a treat, truly a treat. And we didn't have it often, but when we did, oh, it was so good. My mouth is watering now thinking about this delicious sausage cheese pizza from Pizza Hut. Oh. You can't out Pizza the Hut. It's just not possible. You just can't out Pizza the Hut. But you get like the demo discs. That was cool. Reggie Phil-Ames actually was responsible for that. He's like, hey, I see this trend with video games. Let's partner with, you know, Pizza Hut. Well, they were, you know, a video game company. But pizza and video games goes together. Just, you know, let's do a demo disc deal. And yeah. As I say, the rest was history. You really don't do demo discs, let alone demos anymore. Demos, that's a really cool aspect. Like, I know Mortuary's Assistant had a demo, and a lot of people loved it, and I watched Markiplier play that. That was really cool. It was an interesting game. Have I watched anything? I've been watching One Piece. It's been a few days since I've watched One Piece, but I've been watching One Piece as like the main show I've been watching lately. What We Do in the Shadows, that's been brilliant. Okay, we're gonna have to go and dump all this stuff. A spider! Ow, you bit me. Ouch, Charlie, bit me. Ouch, Charlie, that hurts. I was hoping to find the chest in there so quickly, but yeah, no, that didn't work out. Watched some Weird Al music videos lately. That was pretty fun. That was pretty cool. Forgot how great he is. I mean, I never forgot. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I never forgot how great you are. No, I just was like, wow, these are really the catchier than I thought. I knew he was great, but you know. Alright, time to go mark down. Meow, 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 meow. But yeah, so Friday we will be playing GTA 4 and then the DLCs, The Lost and the Damned, as well as the Battle of Gay Tony. God, Battle of Gay Tony is so great. The explosive ammo guns, so great, but the cars. But no, the stories for all three are phenomenal. The only thing I don't like is how like slippery the cars are. Like I know you want to have some, you know, less traction action going on with the cars, but like man, that's kind of like a trying to go around a corner and I flip over and blow it up. I'm like, whoops. I wonder if I can crash my game doing the swing set glitch. That's going to be interesting. Or on missions where, hey, drive here. I'm like, okay, let's stop by the park, and then whoosh, watch the car get flung. I love little like goof-arounds like that. It's always fun. I think GTA 5 also had that where you like there's one of like the automatic doors, but if you do it just right, it'll close and fling you, or as it closes, your car's like butting up against it, and yeah. I don't know if it's still possible. I think they make it to where the garage door opens, like there's a radius from like the location of it, so that as you get like a block away from it, it starts to open for you. Yeah, I posted a couple weeks back, like, hey, here's what we're gonna do, and I have to look at that because I can't remember what I'm doing after GTA 4. I feel like eventually I need to do on stream a full GTA 5 playthrough, and not just, hey, here's me starting it, or hey, here's me finishing 100%, but an actual like GTA 5 playthrough that goes on up on YouTube. It'd be pretty cool. Because I've got 3, I've got Vice City. I think I'm playing San Andreas after 4 actually, and then 5. So that'll be fun. It's the definitive edition, so it's gonna be horrible, really. But there's a ton of games I want to play. Like I need to play Crash 4 on stream. I just want, because I figured I'd really enjoy playing on stream. Like I could play it in general, but how many hours it'd take me, you know. I've got all my games over. I was redoing my entertainment center desk area, so that'd be fun once I get everything set up. But that's one of the games I saw. I'm like, ooh, I really want to play this. I haven't played that yet. Yeah, I know. I was talking to Garrett recently, and he says, wait, you haven't played Crash 4 yet? I'm like, I know. He goes, I thought you would have 100%ed it at least once or twice. I'm like, yeah, right? But yeah, I'm super excited for that game. It's so cool that they made a 4th Crash. Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Pow! All right, we got a section down. Boop, 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 boop. Oh. I think this is what we're going to be working on next time. The first half of the next episode, or the second half, I guess. Either way, half of the next week will be us carving that out. We'll have to come back to this every now and then. It's gonna be a big project, but it's gonna be worth it. And then hopefully we'll have we'll get Slime to be able to do the doorway that I want to do. All right, we'll start working on this at the least. We'll push out to about 2 hours for recording. I'll try and start doing that from now on. At least 2 hours. I'll average out 2 hours for streams for this. Minecraft Mondays, SlothFang's Minecraft story. But yeah, if you haven't already on YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy this, as well as other content. I've got a bunch of playlists I already created for all these series. The Quarry has been, I published episode 1. By the time this comes out, the Quarry prologue and chapter 1 should both be out. Check that out. The Quarry, we are working on getting everyone to survive. See if that works out or not. and trying to get really just best ending if possible. There was, though, I will warn on the Quarry is the there was a slight webcam issue where it was off by a fraction of a second, and so I'd be talking but my lips would be, and I'd noticed it but I couldn't figure out what it was. Like as I was streaming I couldn't see it. So but yeah, so that was in that episode in Vice City, but then I fixed it afterwards. But yeah, let's see. I need to see if my God of War, if I should get that put up there, and then eventually also my Mario 64 from 3D All Stars put up there also. Yeah. But I've got a bunch of stuff planned outside of my Monday Minecraft stuff. I've got a bunch of videos geared up for Fridays for VODs. Quarry, I've got pretty much like each chapter is a video. It roughed out to be a good like cutting point for videos. And as I was streaming, I was like, "Hey, look this chapter," and it worked out that way. I won't always do that though. Like Vice City was just one whole stream, so that was a part. It was one episode. I know you could be like, "Oh, you could cut up each, mission," and nah. Fridays are VOD days, hanging back, kicking it back, checking out streams. VODs day. That's what we call Fridays. Mondays is Minecraft Mine days. Saturdays are short days, and eventually I'm gonna get some stuff that kind of doesn't fit Mondays, Fridays, or Saturdays, so it'll fit Wednesdays. I think that'll be fun and cool. I put that block down there so that way hopefully the moss can the vine can grow. Growing on a river. I don't like having those blocks there because if water comes down, it'll clear it all out and just Then there goes the torches and the lighting and the mobs come. Once the water's gone, that is. I've got some videos, like actual videos and not just streams coming up for YouTube that I've been working on. I'm excited that I haven't talked about it all actually. So we got that going. I hopefully can get one out before the end of the year. There's a lot of like editing and whatnot I have to go through, so we'll see. I was like, why is it so high up and there's like this weird block that I'm like, oh, I'm digging too far. I'm gonna be a block too high, aren't I? Oh nope, sweet. What did we watch recently? My fiance, my sister-in-law, and her husband were watching Good Omens. We watched the last 2 episodes with them, and that's such a good show. Excited for season 2. Oh, see, we're doing pretty good. Look how big the area is here. We'll mine out like right here. We'll mine out these 2 spots here. I've been wanting to watch The Sopranos, but I'm like, I know Chips Ahoy would really enjoy that show, but I'm like, we've got enough shows. I feel like I could watch The Sopranos on my own. If not, when will I watch it? The answer is never. Not that she doesn't want to watch it, but we got so many shows and things to do. I'm like, Avalanche. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O, avalanche. Well, I have enough. Yeah, I should have enough to cut through this. There we go. We're doing pretty good record time-wise on this. This is actually really nice to see. Also, I don't know if you can see, but I definitely need a beard trim. I need to go like half the distance, just because right now, if I grab my beard, sorry for hitting the mic, my bad, but I have a little ponytail, a pony beard, whatever they call that. Yeah, I actually can braid it if I wanted to. I don't want to take the time to do that, but the possibilities are there. But as a reminder, someone's probably going to ask, well, what's the Hall of Coolness for? It's for all the cool people, both on Twitch, YouTube, the community in general, people I know and whatnot. We're going to have their own little spots here. A tribute, monuments to each person. It's gonna be sweet. It's going to be cool. I've been wanting to do this for ages somehow. And so, yeah. There'll be sections where even if like you're like if I have Patreon, for example, there'd be like a corner for like Patreon members of a certain rank, and then YouTube, and then Twitch, and so on. Just overall, it kind of meshes together. But yeah, really, really cool. I'd been thinking about it for a while, and I thought, you know, why not? You know, Porque no los dos. Why not? You know, instead of waiting to do it, why not throw it in Minecraft? Boom. So yeah, if you've made it this far in the YouTube video, let alone you're here in the Twitch live stream, I just want to let you know I greatly appreciate you. Even if you had watched earlier, this is the only part you're watching and whatever. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate everyone who stopped by and commented. Nico, Mr. Bearmundy, and everyone else. Chips Ahoy. Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure as always to stream, to have this opportunity, and I hope you all are having a great day, especially with it being Monday. You know, so for a lot of people, Mondays are not fun days, and I think that Mondays shouldn't be that. And I know it's for most people, not everyone, but most people, it's the first day back to the work from a work weekend, or you know, having the weekend off potentially, and that stinks. But you know, I hope you're all doing well. You make it through, and you have fun, and it's not miserable. You know, that's the more important thing. You make it through it, but you know, it's not miserable. It's bearable, enjoyable, and if not, hopefully fun and exciting. And if not, well, tomorrow's Tuesday, and it's a better day than Monday. Then, if that's the case. Alright, we're almost done here. On this set corner, we'll have one last corner left. Pretty good. Pretty good. And then I realize how far... Oh, we're not that far deep back. It looks like it goes on forever, but there's this little section here that's... Yeah. Oh, a little tidbit about R.A. Salvatore. He was writing for Star Wars... And they were like, you have to kill off a character. He goes, okay, is this person available? No. This person? No, you can't touch. Here's the list. And it pretty much was like, he had to kill off Chewbacca. In the Vector Prime books, they're not canon anymore, which I think is stupid, changing canon like that. Like, they either happened or they didn't. But yeah, he pretty much he brought a moon down on Chewbacca, because he's like, look, if you're going to kill Chewbacca, make him, you know, you know, pretty much fight a moon as it comes crashing down because of the Valerians, or I forget what they're called, but Vector Prime, definitely a great book to read. He got a lot of disagreements and hate mail for it, and I'm like, that wasn't his. He was pretty much at gunpoint, and for a while he didn't want to write it when he heard that, but yeah. And I feel like if it's not part of story progression, if it doesn't make sense, just to force a character death is silly. It just doesn't make sense. And I think part of him agreed with that, and also he was killing a huge character people loved, a fan favorite. I mean, then again, it's Star Wars. Who doesn't love all the characters? I mean, everyone loves Jar Jar Binks. They always talk about him. Meets a ruined prequel, says some fanboys. It's like, I'd rather people just talk about what they enjoy out of the series and not, oh, I hated this part. I didn't like that part. That part sucked. Look, talk about what you enjoyed and have fun with it. If he's like, hey, I just didn't like the movie, it just didn't represent what I thought was Star Wars, but hey, people enjoy this, good for them. They enjoy it, watch it. If someone said that, great. I enjoy all the Star Wars. I think it was a matter of whiplash for the sequels, 7, 8, 9, just because, you had one director and he oh, I'm not going to do anymore. I'm like, sign him down, force him to, write and direct, boom. So it feels consistent in that one director's, okay, well then I'll do this. And then the director comes back and says, oh no, that didn't really happen. Forget that. It's like, that was my biggest complaint. That's really where you felt like this kind of whiplash effect of the conflicting directors. But hey, Disney's like, hey, let it happen, let it be. We're fine with it when we're getting money either way. I'm like, okay. Oh, I gotta get another pick. Yay, we're almost done too. Woot, 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 woot. Both stream-wise and mining-wise, that's pretty cool. We got some more iron smelting. Oh, that zombie's getting burnt to a crisp. I was reading one author. He obviously works doing something else, so he's not like the authoring is just him being able to tell a story he wants to tell. And it was kind of sad to see that with like the past few years, he's like, because of the politically charged environment of America, I don't feel it's safe for me to write my stories anymore. I need to, even though what he was writing wasn't like, politically infused as much as you would think, but it's like I have to use my small microphone grandstand to be able to talk to the people and let them know what's really going on. And I'm like, you can still write. If you're that overwhelmed by the news, quit watching the news. Like, be informed, but don't let that take over your life. What's the point if you die however how many years in your life and you talked about the news a lot. I'm like I understand you want the world to be a great place, and so do I. But like at the same time, if the negativity runs your life all the time, look more towards the positiveness. At least spin it that a little bit more. But someone's got to do something, I guess. I just don't have time to deal with the BS. I can poke fun of it and mock it and whatnot every now and then, and really talk about it and bring it to the face. But it just stresses you out. I've known people who all they did was they watched the news and it stressed them out to the point where they got sick and all that. And I'm like, look, you can pay attention to news, but all they do is negativity. I occasionally talk about the positivity. So let's just bring ourselves together. Obviously, we can't avoid certain things, but still, look how far across. That's really cool. Boom. And then we have this corner over here. I'm thinking some cobblestone, some oak, some spruce logs, some spruce leaves and birch leaves, some spruce doors, armor stands, some glass, some waterfalls. It's gonna look really nice in here. I want it to be nice and tranquil, have a little, rushing waterfall sound effects, but then at the same time, still have it to be a grand, majestic thing, tranquil and majestic. Kind of like seeing a waterfall in person. If you've never gone and seen a waterfall, you owe it to yourself. They're so cool. So cool. I think what I might do, normally I wanted to retain this, so I might fill this in later. And just, because I don't know, it's not really like as what the other side is, but it doesn't fit in the, because I wanted to feel like a giant room with like compartments on the sides. So I need to think more also about how I'm going to build this. So there's that too. But we'll get there. I do think going forward after the 10th episode, 10th or 12th, I will kind of, as much as I want to do every 2 hours, I can definitely see myself at some point doing certain things that's only like a half hour. Kind of more consumable and bite sized, not for, all for YouTube and all, but just because I not everything's going to be, a 2 hour kind of thing. I do think, and with that being said, like we'll have multiple half hours. So it's still, 4 different things we're doing today, and it's 30 minutes, 25, 35, an hour, or 30, to make it up to where it's still 2 hours. But, if we come in next time and we mine out a little bit of this, it's going to be not even in a half hour, get some resources, but then work on other things, We got to do more exploring. I definitely want to do more exploring. That was fun. Fun. So much more of this world to explore. And that's not even counting, looking for a stronghold, going for Ocean Monument, going for what are those mansions called? I can't think what the mansions are, but the mansions of Minecraft. And then the underground fortress, Nether fortress also, but the underground one, that'd be cool. So much to do, so much to see. Getting sheep, pig, cows, and chickens all set up. Getting one of every color, sheep wool. So much to do, so much to see. That's why even when we hit 52 weeks, there's going to be so much more to go through. I think this world is going to be cool with what we've done in 52 weeks, and I'm glad that you've all been here with me for this. I greatly appreciate that. Whether you've been here for part of an episode or for the whole series, thank you very much for being here. I wish you all the best, and hope that whatever your dreams are, don't chase them. Make them happen. I know someone's like, well, I wanted to be an astronaut. That was my dream, and I can't because X, Y, or Z. Well, okay, but you can be part of that. You can still be part of the community, or there's different programs in NASA or your country's version of NASA, and so on and so forth. You can do it. I believe in you. Someone once told me it was dangerous to tell someone to follow their dreams. I said, but the harsh reality, though, is you aim for the stars and you fall. You may not make it and land on another star or the moon. You may crash back down to Earth, but hey, you've attempted to dream and dare. I said, oh, that's dangerous, telling someone to chase for the dreams. You should never tell them to do that. I'm like, you got to be hopeful. You got to be positive. What's the point of living if you can't do that? No, you have to be realistic, and that means being grounded. I'm like, okay, you're not an optimistic person. That's fine. Oh, I am. I'm like, agree to disagree situation where, like, look, be realistic, but be hopeful, and like, hey, I'm going to do this in life. Okay, strive for it. Work towards it. Understand that you may not be able to get to it. Like telling a kid, like, hey, you want to be an astronaut? Okay, you may not necessarily get that because you're not, the right height, the right weight, the right, you have terrible eye vision or hand-eye coordination. Okay, that's not, possible necessarily or training-wise. But, like, you can still be part of, like, be an engineer to work with them, or, help develop a program, or be part of the community and all sorts of stuff. But, live your dreams, be happy, and if it doesn't work out, understand it doesn't work out. I've known people whose businesses weren't successful, not out of whether it's something they did or something that was out of control. At the end of the day, it just didn't work out. And so that's kind of an insightful thing to understand, that sometimes you can try your best and the universe says, hey, that's not going to work out for us today. And that, you know what, that sucks, that's unfortunate, but sometimes that's the way the dice roll. Gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And you've got the ace of spades, the ace of spades. Motorhead, by the way, if you're trying to figure out what I was bumbling about with my mouth. What would I bumble about with, and if it wasn't from my mouth? That's, I don't know. It's a good question. For next time on SlothFang's Minecraft story, we'll finish mining out this, and then we'll head West. We're going to head west. Didn't mean to screenshot that, but okay. Hello? Oh, there we go. Whoa. There we go. But yeah, either way, just it doesn't always work out, but we can try our darnest. We can work hard, play hard, and have fun. My name is SlothFang. Thank you so much for being part of SlothFang's Minecraft story. Next time, we're going to finish that corner down there, and then we're going to go adventure west. That's right. We're heading west, like Lewis and Clark once did. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is SlothFang. Thank you so much for joining us here today on the 9th week, August 29th, 2022. My name is SlothFang, and thank you for being so much part of this journey. We will see you next time. Bye-bye!